Race one of the Lamborghini Grand Finals is about to get underway here in the glorious sunshine of the Algarve. Welcome to Portimao, welcome to the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, and welcome to race one of the two over the next 2 days for the Lamborghini Cup and the AM entrance. They have one race today, one tomorrow. Points are scored across the two races. You add them together, and that is how we get the Grand Final winner. There's also the same for the pros and the pro-ams. They have their separate race, and of course this is an opportunity to pitch against one another, the American entrants and the Europeans. They've had standalone championship deciding races over the course of the weekend thus far, but now they go toe-to-toe, and it's always fascinating to see which of the regional championships, if you like, is the stronger. There are slightly more World Final, now Grand Final winners from Europe than America, but only by a couple, and that could well change over the course of the weekend. It's a great circuit, this. We'll talk more about it in a moment. Marietta Evans down on the grid, David Addison trackside, and I'm joined for the Grand Final races today by Lamborghini factory driver Marco Mappelli. Marco, let's start with the car, because this Evo 2 of the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo is a mighty piece of kit.
Yes, it is. First of all, welcome to all the Lamborghini fans. It's a lovely day here, and as you said, the Super Trofeo car, the Evo 2, the Huracan Evo 2, is making great lap times around here. The car is really fast. The level of racing is really high. I see the customer all are happy about the behavior, about the durability of the car, about the persistence of the car through the race. So I think we're going to see the great finals here.
We'll talk more about the circuit as well in a moment, because in a couple of moments we'll go down onto the grid, but there you can just see the field starting to grid up, stretching all the way back down the pit straight. 18 rows of cars we have. The grid marshals marshalling everybody into position. It'll be a rolling start, of course. The format for the Grand Finals, just the same as it is for Super Trofeo racing, with mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30 minutes. Right, let's quickly go down on to that grid and join Marietta Evans.
Good afternoon. Consistently fast this weekend in the AM class has been this man, Gabriele Rindoni. Let's quickly hear from him. Gabriele, what are you expecting from this race?
I hope to win. That's all we're going for. We're giving it all, giving it all.
How do you feel with the pace and the rhythm you have shown so far over the weekend?
It's been okay. I've not been top form, but tried to push as much as possible. Some really good competitors out here, so we'll see, we'll push, we'll try.
Good luck, thanks.
Marietta, thank you. Now, Marco, this is a car that is, you know, it looks after the pro drivers that we have in Super Trofeo, but it has to be user-friendly. It's got to be a car that the AMs, the less experienced Lamborghini Cup drivers can drive and not feel frightened by.
Absolutely. This is a car made for the gentleman driver, especially. So, because we know the young driver can adapt to everything you give to them to drive.
Sure.
So it must be a car that the gentleman can feel, can drive, as you know, when it's leaks, when it's wet, when there is mixed condition. They don't have the fear to drive the car, which is the most important thing, and they have to enjoy the power, they have to enjoy the speed of the car. So there is a combination of factors that makes this car honestly really quick and really cool to drive for everybody.
And lots of happy faces in the paddock, and let's find more of them. Let's go back down to the grid and Marietta.
And now let's hear from the poleman for this race. Jordan O'Brien has put very impressive stints this weekend so far. Now you're P1 for the race. What is your mindset right now?
Well, I mean, the big thing is obviously just getting a good, clean start. No reason to get overzealous with trying to get off the line overly effectively, but just get the field safely down through turn one, get myself cleanly through turn one, and then from there I'm just hoping to put my head down and focus on what's next, which is just clean, consistent, quick laps to give my co-driver Ron a good position on the driver change.
How is the run to turn one at this racetrack?
Well, I mean, as long as I can keep the field far enough left and I don't have to drive through too much pickup, the run down into turn one should be all right. I mean, hopefully I get a good enough jump on the start that, you know, I don't have to defend too much, but the run down into turn one, there's plenty of space and plenty of runoff, so I think everybody will take their time, hopefully, and we can all make it through turn one and race from there.
Thanks, good luck.
So that's Jordan O'Brien starting on pole position. That run to the first corner here at the Portimao circuit, you turn right again, and then it's a right-hand hairpin. So it's a corner that keeps going.
It keeps going, and it makes everything harder for everybody, because it's easy to overdrive, over brakes, try to go wide. So everybody needs to be careful and safe because the race is long. Sure. You have the pit stop, so I hope everybody don't get, as Brian says, don't get too excited at the beginning. But we will see a clean race and a fun race.
And from a driver's point of view, this is a good circuit. It's got some slow elements, some fast sections, and some real climbs.
Yes, it is. It is a real circuit because you have a quick corner, very quick corner, like the last corner. You have slow corners, so the mix between brave on high speed and technique on slow speed is really matching perfectly. So you really need to focus on your driving.
One driver who's focused very well this weekend is Shehan Chandrathoma. He is the North America Championship AM champion. He's talking to Marietta.
And competition is so close that some of the titles were not decided until yesterday, like the one he won. Shehan, you clinched the AM title in North America yesterday. What did it mean for you?
I mean, it was definitely a crazy feeling. You know, I started the season and I was supposed to start an LB Cup. It's my first year back in racing. It's my first year ever in the Super Trofeo series. So I was, back in Laguna Seca, I was really happy to get my first podium in third place, and who would have known I would have won the AM title. So definitely a crazy feeling. I'm looking forward to next year.
Good luck. Thank you.
So the man from Austin, Texas, Shehan Chandrathoma, looking forward to the grand finals first of all, and of course the American teams much travelled to come here. It's a big logistical exercise to come to Europe, but they get a lot of track time for the money. Let's just go, Margot Mappelli, back to the track for a moment, because inevitably at a modern circuit a talking point of the weekend has been track limits. And it is, of course, with low curbs, easy to go too wide at various places.
Yes, it is. It is. I think the marshal and everybody in the race direction are doing twice of the job as ever, because they want to keep fair the competition between everybody, and they want to keep the kind of seriety that this championship needs. So everybody has to be careful, because it's also unfair when you gain time with the compare especially when you talk about gentleman drivers. It's good that they can keep at least a kind of rule to follow, which is fine.
And as a pro driver, do you, if you like, go to the very extreme of the limit and then bring it back, or do you push a little bit more until the race director says, no, that's too much?
Yeah, usually you start from very far and then you come back, and then you come back. So you go immediately to the race director and then you come back. But anyhow, yes, modern circuit, because of safety reason, are most of them, especially in Europe, are made with this thing. So you always have to be careful.
And also, a lot of circuits nowadays have to be suitable for car racing and motorbike racing. So the curbs are very low, which means that in a car you can use more curb, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, you have more road, so you can put more speed into the corner. You can brake later. But still, you have to stay within the rules.
Of course. Now, just to go back to the admin side of this, if you like, it's a 50-minute race, mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30 minutes, but not every car has two drivers. The regulations for Lamborghini Super Trofeo, as you look at the ever uber-cool Raffaele Giannoni, always with his sunglasses on. If you're on your own, you have a bit of an advantage, because you know what the car feels like and the track as well, so you have a longer pit stop by 3 seconds than the two driver entries. Engines now fire up. It's going to be a rolling start, of course, as you look there at the British driver, Charlie Martin, who will go first, starting on the outside of the fourth row of the grid. We'll go through the grid in a moment when the cars blast away. But some drivers want all the track time. They want the 50 minutes to themselves, and others prefer a co-driver.
Yes, I think this is a choice that everybody can make by their own. But I guess especially for a gentleman driver, having more track time, especially if they work during the week, so maybe they don't have the time, or they don't want to go testing. So having as much time as possible, especially on the race week, is very important.
And for the American drivers, certainly coming here, it's almost like a boot camp. They've been in the car every day, whether it's been testing, whether it's been practice, qualifying, racing. By the end of the week, They're really tired.
I see so many tired faces from our gentleman drivers, but luckily the Super Trofeo is demanding from driving point of view. But it's a good relief, especially when you start to understand the car and the tires and the track. It's getting more easier towards the end of the week.
Now, let's, as quickly as we get closer to the start of this opening grand final race, rejoin Marietta.
And now we're going to hear from Giorgio Zanna, head of Lamborghini Motorsport. He's going to tell us a bit more about what's happening this weekend, as well as some very exciting news about the future for Lamborghini Corse in GT racing.
We are in Portimao for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Grand Final 2022. We have seen a fantastic and thrilling race to conclude the European Championship and the American Championship. We are proud to have also the customers of the Senza SCV12, an iconic car with our V12, where it's possible to make extraordinary performance, but especially to enjoy extraordinary driving experience with the support of the technician of Lamborghini Squadra Corse. Last but not least, we have present also the Huracan GT3 Evo 2. We have announced the first race debut of this new car that will be in Daytona 2023, next year in January, with the team Iron Lynx. So we are particularly proud about this new partnership. We are looking to enter in the IMSA Endurance Championship with a few of our best factory drivers. Of course, in the last few years, we have achieved fantastic results with the Huracan Evo. Next year, in 2023, we will enter in the 10th anniversary of Lamborghini Squadra Corse. We achieve very important results. Of course, a nice memory are the 3 victories in Daytona, 3 victories in a row. So very important milestones for our company. But of course, we are looking into the future for new challenges and of course for new victories.
And so the cars now make their way out of turn 14, the Sagres corner, named after the local beer, down towards turn 15. The Lamborghini Urus will peel into the pit lane. The race cars then get themselves in this 2x2 formation ready for the rolling start. They don't stop on the grid, of course. If the race director is happy, he'll give the indication that the lights can change. Portimao is a circuit like many where the finish line and the start line are in different places, so the timing line that they will come across is at the exit of the last corner, but along the pit straight is the start line. On pole position then is Jordan O'Brien. Lining up alongside him is Gabriele Rindoni, the Luxembourg driver. Then on the second row of the grid, you've got the North American Championship runner, David Staub, and the European AM champion in the white car there on the outside of the second row, Andrzej Lewandowski. Then you've got the North American AM champion, Shehan Chandrasoma, behind him. The lights on the gantry are red. 50 minutes to get the grand finals underway. The lights will change any second. To get them away now, they blast off down to the first corner, and a good start then made by Jordan O'Brien. He will take the race lead as Gabriele Rindoni comes up on the outside line there to try to squeeze round the outside of David Staub, which he has done. Very good move right round the outside. The white car of Andrzej Lewandowski gets run out wide, so Chandrasoma goes up into 4th place, and there's drama because Rindoni spins, possibly, Marco, with a little bit of help.
Yeah, definitely. It was a side-by-side action, but you know, the third grid position start, so I think was Staub had the touch contact, so I think the race direction is already checking on it.
I think you're probably right. And also, sort of a double whammy for Rindoni. He couldn't rejoin because there was no space in the traffic. So many cars kept coming through. So there is David Staub, second. Andrzej Lewandowski comes up to have a go on the outside line, which is brave, and he's going to run out of road. Up the curb he goes, keeps his foot to the floor, and as they come over the brow of the hill, Lewandowski can't quite do it. So Staub is second, Lewandowski third, Chandrasoma is fourth, but Jordan O'Brien, the race leader, is getting away. On board now then, turning downhill. This is Andrzej Lewandowski running in third place as they come through this sort of corkscrew effect, drop down and then climb the other side.
Yeah, this is a really nice part because you go up and down from high speed to low speed. So there is also good braking point where you can try to overtake.
And there's a yellow flag at turn 7, so somebody else has had a drama on this opening lap of the race as the cars then make the run up towards the end of the lap. Wide up the curb goes Lewandowski. So David Starb ahead of him, yeah, safety car deployed, and that's the reason why, because Claude Senhoretti is in the gravel, so very early in the race, the safety car deployed, and that, of course, means that Jordan O'Brien, who was pulling away, is now going to be caught. Everybody will catch up to him. Big, big frustration when you're the man who's trying to build a gap.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if there is a contact behind and you take a gap in the first lap, usually you get more relaxed and you can manage tires and brakes and the car towards the end of the stint.
And the other frustration for Jordan O'Brien, and this is one of the fascinations of two driver races, is that he's quicker than his co-driver, so he needs to be on green flag laps all the time to stretch that gap, otherwise they've got no chance.
Yeah, definitely needs to build some gap for his teammates, so absolutely this is the key. It's better now at the end of his stint, of course, the safety car.
Yes, yeah. And there is, in replay, Claude Senhoretti with something coming out of the back of the car. Now, does he then spin on his own liquid, potentially? Or has he had a tyre go down and that's rubbing on the ground?
I think, yeah, I believe there is probably been a contact before and now the tyre is losing some pressure, but definitely is coming from a contact, of course.
And there he is, a long way off in the gravel, isn't he? So the weekend for Claude Senhoretti has not been a good one. In the North American opening race, he was a retirement, and he's retired from this race as well. Big, big shame, but he will bounce back tomorrow. And there's another car that is in the pits, and that is the European Championship regular, Cedric Lima. There he is, having the screen cleaned, but they need to get him back out before he falls off the lead lap.
Yeah, exactly. I think they had some kind of issue, probably, but hopefully they rejoin and they can get back to their position.
Yeah, falling off the lead lap makes life incredibly difficult, and it must be hugely demoralising as a driver to know that you've still got so much of the race to go, but you're always a lap down.
Yeah, especially in such a short races, it's not possible to gain.
No, sure.
In normal condition, it's impossible.
Even in a 24-hour sprint race like Spa these days, it's difficult enough, isn't it?
In US, you can do it because there are different rules, but in Europe, honestly, when you lose one lap, it's really tough.
Game over almost.
It's really tough.
So there is Claude Senhoretti's car being pulled out of the gravel, and as soon as the road is clear, we can go back racing. But Gabriele Rindoni, that we saw spin right at the very start of the race, down in 28th place, so from second on the grid to 28th. Now, okay, there's still a reasonable amount of the time left for him to get up the order, and we know that he's quick, and he's got no co-driver. He drives on his own, so that car can run at the same pace pretty much all the way through the race, can't it? Which is a good bit of news for him.
Especially if he can get the right moment to stop and have a clear track once he's off the pit stop procedure. For sure he can gain a lot of time, because obviously when you overtake people you lose time. So yeah, I think the rear tires, the right tires is for sure is coming from a contact during maybe during the start.
Yeah, so there you can see off the rim, isn't it? So Claude Senhoretti bringing the car back at a reasonable speed.
Yeah.
So steady, Claude, steady. But that will have to go to the pit lane, and he's lost a lap, of course, while he's been in the gravel. But the road is now clear, so he should be able, yes, the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, so we'll go back to racing this time. And the race order is very North American at the moment, with Jordan O'Brien ahead of David Starb. Then you've got the leading European entry, Andrzej Lewandowski, multiple AM or Pro-Am champion, ahead of the North American AM champion, Shehan Chandrasoma, fourth. Fifth is Raffaele Giannone from Europe. Sixth is Stefan Guerin from the European Championship. Seventh is Alex Au. Eighth is Charlie Martin, both from the North American Championship. And before we get back to racing, let's go to the pit lane and Marietta.
And I am with Adrian Lewandowski. Adrian, you are pretty new to Super Trofeo, but you have shown so much potential over the weekend.
Well, yeah, I'm really new. It's my third weekend, and also it was my first touch with the racing, the Super Trofeo with the racing. So I'm trying to learn as fast as I can, and for now it's pretty okay. This weekend was pretty fine, yeah.
And of course, he is the son of our Super Trofeo Europe AM champion, Andrew Lewandowski. What sort of advice has your dad given you with all the experience that he has?
Well, a lot. Like he like invite me to this environment, and for sure he's step by step showing me me other further step how I can improve and try to catch him, yeah, because now he is in front of me in terms of the times what he does, but generally I'm trying to be as close to him as I can.
Fantastic. Good luck for your stint. Thank you.
So we're going to go back to racing this time. On that timing tower, the green stripe next to a name is that they are in the AM class. Blue is the Lamborghini Cup, which is for the less experienced drivers again. And we'll be back racing then this time around as the cars come through turn 14 up at the top of the lap. We've talked about the undulation in this circuit. This section, with the speed starting to build, brings you down towards the pit straight. The safety car peels in, you look back from it, and so now Jordan O'Brien absolutely storms away. That's a really good restart, Marco, isn't it? Because he's a good 3-4 lengths ahead already.
Yes, definitely he did a really good restarting procedure, so he got again a fair amount of gap.
So it is then Jordan O'Brien who leads from David Starb in second place. The rest of the field turn through there. Look, in the pink and black car is Slade Stewart, the Lamborghini Cup champion in North America, despite damage sustained in the practice sessions on Thursday. Rebuilt car has a big dive there. Lewandowski leans on David Starb. They touch coming out of turn 4. Lewandowski gets the run and goes through, coming down to the tight hairpin at turn 5. Moves across, defends the line, gets the car slowed down in time and doesn't run out too wide. But that was brave stuff, wasn't it? That was brave driving.
It was really good restart of the race, really good overtake. I think he was a little bit more aggressive on keeping the tire temperature, and that's why probably Starb is struggling at the moment.
And he's about to lose another place, isn't he, David Starb, because up the inside there goes Chandrasoma. Couldn't quite do it as they came over the brow through turn 9 now. Again, the road climbs here. And then on to turn 10 where it plunges back down the hill, and you really know it's a plunge downhill. Raffaele Giannoni now getting onto the back of Chandrasoma. Raffaele Giannoni has been a stalwart Lamborghini Super Trofeo racer for season after season after season, and he's putting all of that experience to good use. But up front, the race leader, Jordan O'Brien, is getting away. He's building that gap, being helped a bit by everybody else battling and delaying themselves behind him.
Exactly, it's what everybody dreams. So, to have somebody who's fighting behind you and you take some gap, but I think he's pushing quite hard because also the lap time is really quick. So he's definitely on a mission at the moment.
Absolutely right. So when he was being interviewed by Marietta on the grid, he was explaining the game plan, made it sound all very straightforward. Well, he now leads by 2.7 seconds. That's after effectively one racing lap. So that's a big advantage to pull. But then Lewandowski in second place is getting away from the battle here. David Starb third. There, Shehan Chandrasoma in fourth place. And wait for the black car, Raffaele Giannoni in fifth spot. So now we'll see whether Lewandowski, with all of his experience, can bring down the gap to the race leader. We've got another 10 minutes before the pit window opens, as there, number 2, Pierre Feligioni, tries to keep at bay 114 Slade Stewart, the Lamborghini Cup champion from the North American Series. He clinched that yesterday, and Pierre Feligioni has been a regular in the European Series all season. Lots of battles rage on up and down the order. Out of turn 5, climb up the hill here. Got a 2 going wide, there's track limits for you. But absolutely out on his own is Jordan O'Brien. He's driving a really impressive stint.
He's doing, definitely. He's really pushing. Now he's also pushing again, so we see that the gap compared to the others is increasing. And there is also a nice fight between the Lamborghini Cup championship between Martin and Privitello at the moment. So it's really cool.
Now, we saw Claude Senhoretti in the gravel, we saw Cedric Lima in the pit lane, and an incident between the two is under investigation. So I think there was, as you were suggesting, Marco, contact, and it must have come from Cedric Lima. So we've not seen the incident, but Race Control with extra screens will have some footage of it. They're having a look to see whether Cedric Lima has a case to answer, and Claude Senhoretti still in the pit lane as the battle rages on. Coming up then now towards the end of the lap, as you see there, going through 39, which is the Georgian driver, Shota Alcazaba, back into Lamborghini Super Trofeo racing this year after a long break for the circumstances of travelling and also the pandemic, and a drive-through for a jump start now for Cedric Lima. Now that is adding to his woes. He's already had, of course, one pit stop and now a drive-through as another challenge is made, and through on the inside goes Martin Rieber. Good move, and the one that loses out badly there is Michael Manella, because he's lost 2 places coming out of the first corner. The other one that skips up and past him there, look, is Tom Tate, who was third in the Pro-Am of North America. Tom Tate doing both races in the Grand Finals because he's got an entry in Pro-Am as well as in Am, so he's going to be kept very busy indeed. The lead gap is over 3 seconds now, so Jordan O'Brien pulling away. And one or two drivers having to be really brave on the brakes coming into this hairpin, and it's a really tight hairpin, isn't it? Down to first gear we've seen.
Yeah, it's really tight, and I'm seeing that also Rindone, which was starting in the front row, is struggling to overtake all these cars because they are all fighting between themselves, so it's not easy to find the right gap without obviously destroy the race.
Yeah, because he's still down, isn't he, in 25th place and stuck in traffic, losing time to the race leader. Even if he can get places, the gap to the leader will open up, but then again Jordan O'Brien will be quicker than his co-driver, so Andrzej Lewandowski in second place has the advantage because he's a solo driver. The car can run at a consistent pace for the entire race.
Absolutely, especially the first 2-3 laps out of the pit are the one which the driver who comes in takes a little bit of time to understand the grip level and how the track level is, the track grip is, what kind of grip is available, so yeah.
And that's why we have this sort of balance, don't we, now, of the pit stop times, that extra 3 seconds for the solo drivers just to try to even things out. They're going through. Wesley Slim, third in the North American Lamborghini Cup Championship this season, goes through, and that car currently is running a little bit further down than he would like to be, having dropped away over the opening few laps. Drops down now through turn 1. There's the GT3 Poland car of Gregor Mokczulski, which will be taken over by Adrian Lewandowski, who we heard from earlier on. There's the leader. 4 seconds clear now is Jordan O'Brien, and you can expect him to stay in the car for as much of the race as possible in that window to maximise the time available to him.
I think so. You will see also in the next race of the Pro and the Pro-Am that the quicker driver will stay as long as possible, unless there is no other issue like you have a problem with the tires or you think that the pressure made by the team is too high. But by the end of the day, the quicker driver drives more.
And there is Andrzej Lewandowski in second place. As we say, he's a soloist, so he can stay in that car all the way through the race. He knows exactly what the car is like and what the track is like as soon as he rejoins after the pit stop. So that gives him very much an advantage, and he's against the majority of cars in that leading gaggle with 2 drivers. Those that have a single driver, he's pulling away from anyway, so it's very much looking good for him. Goes a little bit wide there, coming out of turn 15, makes the climb up the pit straight, over the line now. And it's a long, long run, isn't it, down to turn 1 here?
Yes, it is. And the braking point, it's not so easy in the first corner because it's downhill, so it's easy to try to brake a little bit late and doing track limit or going wide. So especially when by the end of the stint, when you are a little bit tired, it's definitely quite high demanding track.
And also, we're racing at now just approaching 3 o'clock. It has been a very warm day, and therefore the AM drivers in the cars feeling the temperature, feeling the heat. And I guess that's worse if you're the solo driver during the pit stop, because when you're stationary, there's no air coming in at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably the hottest moment of the race for a driver. When you do the pit stop, you get all the heat, you know, from the driving, all the heat from the car, and you're suffering.
So we have then Jordan O'Brien leading the way. Renata Patu will take over from him, and Marietta is there in the pits with the team.
So nice to see Renata Patu again in the Super Trofeo. Lovely to have you back.
Thank you. Well,
your co-driver is doing an amazing job out there. What is it like to share the car with him?
Oh, he's a very good driver. I just have to finish the race.
Are you preparing for when you get into the car?
Well, my whole object is to avoid any mishaps and just bring the car home safe.
And what would you say about the speed that your co-driver is showing all through this weekend?
He's so super fast. He's several seconds faster than the second car, so I have an easy job.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
an easy job, but a pressured job, because he's got to hang on to that lead if he can. Ronald Zapatu, who's been a Lamborghini racer on and off for many, many years, going back to the 1990s, he was racing in the earlier iteration of Super Trofeo. And one of his business interests is called elephant tea. He is from Sri Lanka originally, and the money raised through the sale of elephant tea goes to helping elephants and wildlife in his native Sri Lanka. So Ronald Zapatu will get into the car in the second stint. There is Jordan O'Brien, the race leader. Andrzej Lewandowski in second place, and they're now in and amongst the back markers, aren't they? Because there is Kumar Prabhakaran, the Malaysian driver, who's fallen back one lap, and whoops, contact there at the first corner. You could see that coming, couldn't we?
Yes, yeah. you can see coming, because of course there were no space, not enough space for the 69 driver.
Fred Roberts is the casualty, double winner of the Lamborghini Cup yesterday in the North American races, but Audrius Butkevičius was the driver that made contact with him, the Lithuanian, and Fred Roberts, the spinner. But now he's sort of got to wait before the car will fire up. There's a bit of a process you have to go through, and there's the contact. Butkevičius up the inside line and just tags the back.
Yeah, it's difficult to overtake in turn one, because it's not a completely 90 degrees corner. It's quite open, so the speed you get into is quite high. So you have to be really side by side to overtake. You cannot dive bomb.
Now, the message will have got through to Audrius Butkevičius. You can't dive bomb. Fred Roberts is the casualty. And that may well get looked at from race control. You can anticipate a penalty, because a collision was the result. And there, Fred Roberts has dropped a long, long way back. So, big disappointment for him. Thinking of people that dropped a long way back, Gabriele Rendoni, he's up to 21st, but it's still not easy for him.
He gained 7 places, so it's good, because only 4 laps, but still you see that everybody is doing his racing, everybody is pushing and is fighting between themselves, so it's tough job for Rendoni, but I think he's doing great.
But it's great that we have such fierce racing, because many years ago people almost treated Lamborghini Super Trofeo as just somewhere that rich people came to have a bit of fun, but it is seriously proper racing, isn't it?
It is. Now it's a proper race car. It's a cool car. When you can make modification, you can understand. You have to push. You have to use the aerodynamics. So it's losing a little bit of fascinated from the past, but it's gaining a lot of competition and a lot of motorsport. That's what our customer wants.
And of course, the Lamborghini name has had massive success, whether it's been through Super Trofeo or, of course, in GT3 racing in America and in Europe, thanks to the efforts of Marco Mappelli and others. And we've got now just 1 minute before the pit window opens. There is Gabriele Rendoni, number 21, and he makes a dive up the inside line there, gets ahead of the Lamborghini Cup entry of Benoit Semola, and another place gained. He's up into 20th, but this is still going to be a long afternoon for Gabriele Rendoni. So he's pushing on and doing his level best to get back up the order. Second, he was in the AM class to Andrzej Lewandowski in the championship this year, but after the spin at the first corner, and he was then delayed, waiting for a gap in the traffic, he's lost so much time. But still, half an hour remains, and he can gain back some places. Might be worth, I guess, him coming in right at the start of the pit window to get out of this traffic.
Could be the solution, because you can see that he's overtaking also with a little bit of caution, because he doesn't want to ruin the race today or to ruin the race also for tomorrow. That's why he's doing his best without making any mistake, which is easy. And I believe, as you said, he will stop earlier, especially if you see that the others are not stopping in front of him, to try to at least, let's say, undercut.
Yeah, to try to jump ahead on the second stint. So there's the gap between the race leaders, which is now 5.6 seconds. Jordan O'Brien 2, Andrzej Lewandowski there in second place. David Starb is third, ahead of Shehan Chandrasoma. Raffaele Giannoni is fifth, Stefan Guerin sixth, Alex Au seventh. Then it is Donovan Privitello, Shotal Kazava and Charlie Martin to round out the top 10. And Andrzej Lewandowski pressing on, rattling the car up the curb there, over the brow, but falling away from the race leader. But I suspect that he will get that place back, get the time back in the second stint. Riding with him now. Over the brow, drops down the hill. How's he looking? How are his lines?
Yeah, the lines are really good. I think he's pushing quite hard. You can see that in braking, he's really braking late. So for sure he knows what he's doing. You can see that his rhythm is also quite consistent. Of course, O'Brien is a little bit quicker, but I believe he still has a chance because we don't know the real pace of the O'Brien teammates, so he needs to stay focused on what he's doing.
So the pit window is open, and in has come Martin Riva, in has come Claude Gosselin, in has come number 22 of Kurt Wagner, but not yet, I don't think, Gabriele Rindoni. So he's going to do perhaps one more lap. There, going nicely, is Donovan Privitello. Yep. They've had a rotten weekend. That car damaged in both races in the championship yesterday. Into the pits comes Raffaele Giannone. But yeah, Donovan Privitello doing a good job.
He's really doing a good job. He overtook his competitor, and now he's leading the class, and he's also making some gap.
Yeah. Again, it all comes with experience, doesn't it? Because he and his father, inexperienced. Whoops, there's a slightly brutal way of getting through on the inside line, and it worked. That was Stefan Guerin, I think, getting up past Raffaele Giannone, but that was a slightly robust way of overtaking coming out of the hairpin. Oh, more drama.
We have a stop car.
We do. It is Alan Grossberg from the North American Championship, and that is coming out of turn 2, is it? Is that another puncture?
I think it's turn 7, 8.
Ah, okay. It is.
Yeah, he's a puncher, but I think it's due to the contact, I believe.
Yeah. So the wheel looks buckled, doesn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
Got away again in the Dream Racing car, and yes, you're right, because there's the time.
Luckily, no safety car during pit window, otherwise it's not easy to manage this kind of situation.
Exactly right. And there is Jordan O'Brien now in the traffic. So this slightly spoils the plan, doesn't it? Because his lap time's now slightly compromised by back markers. And that was really close.
It was tight. It was really tight, yes, definitely. Because actually the back marker was going to the pit spot, so yeah, this is interesting.
I've never seen a car breathe in before, but I think Jordan O'Brien's car did, and he puts a lap there on 1:48, which, remember, was in 3rd place, but that's just made a pit stop. So now Nico Roger is behind the wheel of it, and it's just dropped a lap by pitting. This is Andrzej Lewandowski in the pit lane. All he can do is sit and wait, but it's up to the car controller now to release it at the right time, so they are not under that pit stop time.
Exactly, absolutely. This is very important, otherwise you get a penalty. So he's drinking. The door is open, now they close. They are checking the pressure, which is very important, and you can do it. You can check the pressure and clean the screen. That's the only modification you can make on the car.
But it's the man with the stopwatch who's got the most important job, because if you let that car out and it's just slightly under on the pit stop time, penalties come, as you say.
You can see during the practice they do a lot of simulation of pit for the timing, out, in and stop. So I think they are all well prepared, but you know, during the race with a little bit of the adrenaline is easy to make mistakes.
Oh, for sure, yes. Well, Jordan O'Brien has made no mistakes, and he has been, as we have just seen, totally committed here. He now leads by over 20 seconds, but of course that is from cars that were lower down the order. The classification shuffled by these pit stops, and he's going to be able to do another 2 laps potentially before he has to dive to the pit lane.
I believe so, yes. He will do the maximum.
Now, what about Gabriele Rindoni? I think has made his pit stop now, so that car falls down the order again.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So they are 1 lap down, but I'm sure they will gain the lap.
So the order continues to change as we go through this pit stop cycle, and at the end of the window we'll have a better idea of the order, and then it becomes really intriguing to see what the gaps are. There is Jordan O'Brien using as much of the racetrack and as much of the curb as he's allowed.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really good job in terms of track limit. Here is a little bit off, but you see that in turn 1 he's really careful to not going over. So for sure he's pushing to create the gap that we saw before.
So he's on his own, and other than back markers, and there's another one up the road, he doesn't have to worry too much. Big flash of the lights there, and it's the same back marker, isn't it?
I think it's the same.
Yes. So he's come across very quickly, Alfredo Hernandez Ortega, who's been in the pits, and that's why he's encountered him so quickly. Oh, they said together. So yes, gravel kicked into the air, but a good save by Ortega.
Absolutely, it's a good save. And it's nice to see these kind of races between, honestly, between the gentleman driver and the experienced driver from the Super Trofeo, but still gentleman, because you see something that normally it's difficult to see. You see that, like, you know, normal people who are passionate, who are owner of Lamborghini, have fun, try to push, make mistake, which is part of the game, and it's also part of the fun, because after the race they will talk, they will smile, they will complain about what they did. So it's honestly this kind of racing is really nice.
And it's a different feel to the racing because amateur drivers can make mistakes. The pro drivers, in theory, shouldn't, you know, or mistakes they make are too much in the way of track limits, but very rarely a spin if you're a good pro.
Usually, yes. Usually it's like this.
So Jordan O'Brien, another lap in the book as he goes through and is ahead of Stefan Guerin, Alex Au third, Jonathan Privitello fourth, all of whom have yet to serve the regulation pit stop. And you can see that we've got just 23 minutes of the race to go, and therefore 3 minutes of the pit window still open.
Yeah, I think they will go inside this lap or the next one, but I believe this one.
Yeah, because if you are in the pits at the closing of the window, that's fine, but you don't need to have done the actual driver change. But if you are not in when the window closes, again, a penalty will come your way. So Jordan O'Brien, as we've been saying, he's staying out for as much of the race as he can, but Ronald Tapatu is not as fast. Don't mean that rudely, but the data is there to prove it, and so he has got to try and preserve that lead to the end of the race. It's one of the fascinations of two-driver racing, the differing pace of drivers, and Ronald Tapatu will be taking on some very quick people around him.
Yeah, you can see really that he's pushing hard. He's pushing hard, especially in this lap. I think he knows that he has to gain as much time as possible for his teammate, and it's also cool to see.
Yeah. You just seen Cyril Lima in the pit lane, and this time in has got to come Jordan O'Brien again. He's committed in the traffic, gets through on the inside, and there is now 1 minute and 52 remaining, and he's got to come in this time.
Yep.
So flat out until he gets to the pit lane speed limit line, stands on the brakes, nose dips in the car, and from flat out race pace coming into the pit lane now, this must feel like you're walking.
yes, it really takes a lot of time, but honestly you need to be focused, because it's easy to miss the pit bay. So it's still, you know, part of the race, and it's nice to see also the driver change.
You bring the car into the pit lane. You as a driver, what are you doing? Are you loosening your belts? Are you unplugging things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously,
there's a process.
The rule says that you have to keep one hand on the steering wheel, so you cannot drive an untied belt with two hands.
Sure.
But for sure, you unplug the radio, you untie yourself, and you make ready to stop with the first gear. Switch off the car, unplug, jump out. The other driver jump in. You help. You know, the drivers help themselves, most of the people, but here, especially with the gentleman driver, usually the mechanic helps because it's more fresh. He has a clear view because he doesn't have the helmet on. You have the safe helmet, but not the racing helmet on. So it's easier for the mechanics to help the driver who goes into the car.
But as you say, as you come down the pit lane, whether it's in GT3 racing, whether it's in Super Trofeo, there's a lot for that driver to do. You know, change the transponder setting for the driver ID.
Yes.
Your work is not done as you enter the pits.
No, absolutely not, absolutely.
So this man, Andrzej Lewandowski, has already made his pit stop, and the multiple champion in Europe and world final in Super Trofeo comes up over the timing line now, and so we wait to see whether that car is going to take over the lead. But it's going to be close, isn't it?
It's going to be close. Is in front?
I think he is.
It's in front.
So that is very interesting indeed, because Andrzej Lewandowski has been able to jump ahead. So where's the time gone? Because Jordan O'Brien was pulling away. That must have been a slow pit stop.
Absolutely. I think Lewandowski drove really well in the out laps from the pit. So he really had a clear track, and what we said before, they really managed the traffic on the circuit with the team. And yes, I'm checking the timing of the pit stop, but I believe also the other car lost some time.
Yeah, you're right. Because we don't have the pit stop time on the screens that we've got in the booth, so we've got, unfortunately then, a slower stop for the Jordan O'Brien run out of Patu car, and of course it should have gained a further 3 seconds because Lewandowski's pit stop would have been slower. Now, in saying all of this, one is assuming that Lewandowski's pit stop was correct in the regulations. If it was too short, then we'll
get the penalty.
Yeah, exactly. We've also got people being given penalties for overtaking under the safety car. One of whom is number 90, Holger Harmsen. Another one is Alan Grossberg, who we've seen with a puncture, and another is Fred Roberts, who we saw being turned around in a spin. So this is the race leader with 18.5 minutes to go, and it's played into the hands beautifully now of Andrzej Lewandowski. Not only does he lead the race, but he's on his own.
He's on his own. I think it's the best. It's the best position ever. He doesn't have to make mistake and to using track limits, because I think with the 6-second gap we can really manage the race towards the end. And what I saw before is that the driver who started, O'Brien, lost a lot of time for traffic before pitting.
That's true.
That's why also can be, not was his fault, but of course because he had some traffic.
So that now means Andrzej Lewandowski leads from Nico Roger, who's taken over from David Staab. Jean Chandrasoma is third, and there down to fourth is Ron Atapatu. That's the car that's second, Nico Roger, out of the North American Championship. They lost out in terms of winning a title yesterday in race 2 with an alternator drama that effectively stopped them before they got underway. So they finished second in the North American Am Championship, and Nico Roger now the man behind the wheel, and he is lapping slower than Lewandowski. So the lead gap is stretching, in other words.
Yeah, it's increasing. And he was part of the contact in turn 3 with Rindoni with the first lap. So I guess the race director decided that it was a normal racing contact.
So let's just take stock for a moment. As we do so, let's catch up with stories from the first stint. Charlie Martin out of 154 is with Marietta.
We're going to have a quick chat with Charlie, who did a fantastic job keeping that car in the top 10 during her first stint. But first of all, Charlie, you had previous experience in hill climbing, GT racing in Britain. Why did you go to Super Trofeo North America? What was your motivation?
Well, to be honest, it's always been a bucket list ambition for me to go race in America. So I've known Jason a couple of years. When the opportunity came up to race together this year, and especially in Lamborghini, it was, but I didn't have to think twice about it. Yeah, it's been an amazing year, really.
Now, talk us through your stint today.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, great to be on pole from quali. Broke 4 of the grid. Got a good start. I was pretty happy. A car, the bright green car that went off, came in front of me. I think he was dropping oil because it was all over the track in front of me. But yeah, managed to hold my position. Pretty happy, really. It's difficult in a way because when you're as an LB Cup driver right in the middle of the AM battle, you don't want to mess up someone else's race. So trying to go at obviously at a good pace. I'm just matching and keeping up with them, but inevitably, if someone's trying to come through, it's only fair, of course, we're just trying to manage that traffic. So I'm happy with how it went. I'd like to have given Jason a bit of a bigger gap, but, it was a clean stint, no mistakes, and hopefully a clean pit stop, and he can keep the car in first place, and we'll be on the podium in about 20 minutes.
Marietta, thank you. We're looking at Cyril Leimer, who has got a very badly damaged car, and an even more badly damaged car, I'm afraid. There is Bart Collins. This is going to be a safety car period, I would have thought, with 2 of them to retrieve. They've got themselves together. We've also got the Privatellios and also Stefan Guerin being given a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. But, Marco, that looks like it's been quite a collision.
It is, because you have 2 damaged car and quick part of the circuit. One car is next to the wall, so the Lamborghini Super Trofeo is really safe, so the safety car is on track.
Gosh.
You need to be careful.
That car appeared out of nowhere. There's debris all over the road as well as cars on the track, so people having to scatter in avoidance.
Yeah.
That's a blind part of the circuit, I'm imagining, coming towards that. Yeah, you're coming out of a corner.
I believe that, especially here, you see that the red car and the black car collide, and the red car probably went straight into the back. We don't know how, but straight into the back of the black car. Maybe the reserve car.
Let's try and piece it together. So there, Leimer to the inside, And he gets it wrong, he spins.
And then probably the red car took him straight away.
Let's see, because as he tries to rejoin, I rather fear that the impact is coming.
Yeah.
Bart Collins arrives. Yeah, it's a blind corner. Some go to the left. That was strange.
Yeah, probably he didn't want to do track limits, so he tried to stay inside. But it's not easy. It's not easy situation for sure. It's really not easy.
So it almost looked as though he sort of turned towards the car, but as you say, if he was committed to the line and then at the last moment saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. It's much easier looking at it from television pictures than being in the car.
Absolutely. Especially because we are already, 75% of the race. So when you're tired and when it's hot, everything is happening a little bit slower, and sometimes taking the right decision at the right moment is not so easy.
And again, with respect to the drivers, when they're an AM, they're not spending as much time in a race car as a pro would do. Exactly. They're not as used to these situations where you have to react absolutely. To a millisecond.
You see, with the safety car, for sure, the team here, everybody has the radio connection, so all the drivers have been informed about the safety car condition, but you see that probably they are not slowing down enough or whatever. This is part of the game when you have a lot of gentlemen driving.
Sure, yeah. Well, there's going to be quite a clear-up operation here, I would have thought. It's going to take 2 or 3 laps at least, because both cars have to be removed, but also there's debris on the road, there's liquid on the road, so...
It will take a while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and only 12 minutes of the race to go, so we're not going to get very much racing time in, which is a real shame. Now, that's a car that's got a drive-through penalty to serve, number 13, Stefan Guerin. There's quite a lot for the race control people to worry about, and there, look, the safety car taking everybody, this is very sensible, off the racetrack, away from the debris.
Exactly, yes, because with this kind of crash and all the debris, it's easy to get the puncture from the tires. So it was a good choice for the safety car driver, Matteo Milani, that we know him has been a safety car driver for a long time.
And the race director, Alain Adon, who's also the GT World Challenge Europe race director, another massively experienced official.
Massive experience. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So between them, calling the shots and making the decisions for the safety of the drivers, and of course for the marshals, who are instantly trying to work and get the cars out of the way. So as the field currently works lap number 19, climbing the hill, it is Andrzej Lewandowski who is the race leader from Nico Roggier in second place. There is Luciano Preditelio, who's also got to serve a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And there is confirmation, so the message will get through from the Rexall FFF racing team to the driver, and Luciano Preditelio will try and get that done before too long. But with only 11 minutes on the clock and a safety car lap is over 3 minutes, we're not going to get many laps in at all.
Not many, absolutely not many. I think that the race could end with the safety car.
I think you're right. Also, pit stop penalties are coming. So number 2, which is Pierre Feligioni and Elie Dubelli, are being given 0.4 of a second for being slightly short. Number 4 of Claude-Yves Gosselin and Marc Rostin being given 1 second and change for being too short on the pit stop, which again goes back to what we were discussing about the importance for the car controller to get it right. Number 39 is being given 2.3 seconds.
All the pit stops are being checked by the race direction, and they will get penalty. And it's a pity for the Preditelio's father and son car, because they were leading with good gap, and his mistakes obviously it's not helping, especially because the safety car now is in, so you lose a lot of time.
The Preditelios are an example of, if you like, the ethos of this class of racing. They've come in with little experience, they enjoy themselves, they drive a cool car, they've got faster and faster with experience.
Yeah, I was talking with them just before the race, and it's a nice story because they have no experience from racing, nothing. Wow. They had no idea. Luciano was saying to me, if somebody told me 3 years ago that I was going to do the finals for Lamborghini Super Trofeo, I would say you're crazy, because I had no idea about racing at all, but I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the car so much, I'm enjoying the environment of Lamborghini, and he wants to continue. So, and his son is following him. His son is quicker than him, and Luciano doesn't like it. So, but
big competition.
company fight.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it, to see how people have come into not just motor racing, but Lamborghini Super Trofeo. You know, some are motor racing fans, some are fans of supercars, Lamborghini fans particularly, others come into it through a friend or whatever it might be, and from different walks of life people arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them are our owners, so they are, you know, they buy a lot of cars, they buy a lot of one-off from Lamborghini, so they are really passionate about our brand and passionate about racing.
And Lamborghini Squadra Corsa, headed these days by Giorgio Sana himself, a former Super Trofeo racer, so very much racing is in the blood at Lamborghini.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's made by a racer, so
yeah, exactly.
you can only expect a lot of fight and a lot of racing.
And good news next year for Super Trofeo is that the Asian Championship will restart after the problems because of the pandemic, but the Asian Series will be back next year.
Yeah, now that the pandemic is under control, I think was the right moment to go back to the Asia, because it's a very important market for our brand and also for our customer who wants to race and doesn't want to travel or have issue to travel to Europe, for example, to reopen a market and some cool racetrack, because in Asia you have really nice racetrack to drive in.
Yeah, so next year Asia will include Australia, won't it? Because with no China races, because of travel dramas still, the zero COVID policy, Australia, the bend near Adelaide, will be introduced as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some great shots in slow motion. You can see one or two of the cars with a dent or a scuff on the side from earlier contact. That's the Libor Dvoracek Kurt Wagner car. 88 is Hans Fabry.
Yeah, you can see also with the new Evo kit there is new braking system with a bigger caliper, bigger disc, and this is obviously all the people are enjoying the performance of the braking, which is improved a lot since last year.
Yes, don't for one moment think these are road cars on a track. These are absolutely purpose-built race cars, and as you've been seeing, very well built, strong cars. So that incident we just had, drivers are safe and sound, get out of the car quickly and walk away. And a red flag is being shown. The race is being stopped, and I suspect that is because it'll take too long to clear everything up. There's no point driving round.
There is no point to keep driving. To finish like this or with a red flag or finish behind the safety car, it's better to stop, to give the marshal, you know, more time, more relaxed to prepare the car for the next races. And that's it. So congratulations to Lewandowski and the other drivers in the podium for the win.
It's a big shame that a race has to end that way, but sometimes there is no choice. But Andrzej Lewandowski proving all the years of experience. You know, he knows Lamborghini racing, he knows the car. He may not know the circuit that well, but you know, there's an AM who's a very good AM.
It's really good. It's really quick. At some circuit, it's really on the top 10. When also they drive together in European and American Championship with the Pro. So I think it's really proof that with the right focus, with the right commitment, also a gentleman driver can get to the point to fight with the Pro.
So confirmation that we have done 75% of the race, therefore it will not restart. And the drivers now making their way back down towards the pit lane. They'll be brought in behind the safety car, and so therefore, as I say, we won't go back to racing, but we will have a result, and the podium will come shortly. Good result there, second for Nico Roger and David Starr, which makes up a little bit for their problems yesterday when they missed out on effectively taking part in race 2. They did about one lap, I think, because of an alternator problem. It's a big effort, isn't it, for the American teams to come to Europe. Their season ends earlier, the previous rounds are held earlier, and then they've got time to fly the cars to Europe. But, you know, it's not like putting them in a transporter and driving 3 hours across Europe like some of the European teams can do.
No, absolutely.
It's a big task.
It's a very big task, and they are supported by Lamborghini USA from Chris Ward, so I think they have the right support to it, but still it's a bit task, and also money-wise I think it costs a lot of money, but they enjoy this and the joy to be here, so we are really proud to have all our American teams and drivers here.
And it's also fascinating, isn't it, to look at how the teams operate against the Europeans and how the drivers are, you know, the level of European and American, and of course next year the Asian teams will do the same thing. It's always a great contrast and a great comparison.
Always, because you see that in Europe sometimes they think that they have the best car, the best drivers, but when the American came and they fight together the same level, especially, as you say, this morning, you know, Piquet made the position with Lori second. This is the right proof that the American can do their job.
Now there, as the cars come down the pit lane, is Donovan Privitello, who did not serve that drive-through penalty. So technically, although he is being brought to Parc Fermé as the winner of Lamborghini Cup, they're going to have to put a time penalty on him,
I believe,
which
so.
I think is 40 seconds in lieu of a drive-through.
Yes, yes, it's the loop of the pit stop,
Yeah.
so the pit lane length plus 10 seconds. Yes.
So that's going to plunge him way down, because with everybody in a line, there's no gap.
A lot. It's a really shame, but let's see what's happening.
Well, there's a happy race winner, Andrzej Lewandowski. And from Ron Asapatu's point of view, the reduction in the amount of racing time, although he didn't do much driving, meant that that car stayed in 6th place. So their cars coming down the pit lane. Slade Stewart, number 114, the pink and black car you see there with the unicorn on the side, that is going to be the ultimate winner of Lamborghini Cup, but the officials are going off the timing screen, which is not yet updated with the assorted penalties, so it might be a moment or two yet before we can get the right people for the podium. There's no doubt about the winner, though. Penalty-free and all smiles is Andrzej Lewandowski. And Marietta, he's done it again.
And Andrew, we meet again because you are unstoppable.
Yes, I'm happy for my behavior, the racing, because I concentrate very properly. My rhythm was right, good pro driver, and that's why I'm very happy. You know, the capital from America is very strong, and I'm afraid a little, but I win, yes. And
I think it will be very safe for me to bet that you could win the grand finals tomorrow.
I don't know. I win the great final in the Pro-Am, it's 2 years ago, but never in the AM, and I think that maybe this year I win, because I have unlucky in the Misano, because the brake is broken, you know, and I have also the chance. But we'll see. I think that I win.
Good luck, thank you very much.
Yeah, Andrzej Lewandowski, just reflecting on last year at Misano when he did have a brake failure, and a big off was the net result. But his final successes have come with a co-driver in the Pro-Am, but in AM, then he will drive alone. And the way that the World Final, the Grand Finals, as we call it this year, with no Asia, we can't call it a World Final, the Grand Final, is you can score points for the top 10 and also a point for pole position. And if there's a tie, it is resolved by the fastest lap in race 2. Luciano Privitello getting the message about the penalty.
Yeah, we see Andrea Caldarelli also. He's the owner of FFF, yes. So he's explaining to Luciano what's happening. For sure, Luciano won't be happy with that. It's racing.
Well, indeed. So that penalty has now been applied, and it will put them miles behind.
Yes.
Like off the page, almost.
Exactly. Okay. It's actually...
It's still driving.
Yeah,
it's second in class.
It's still second in class, yes. It's been overtaken by the Flying Lizard car, the 114.
Well, that might...
Darren team.
Yeah, exactly. That might change again, but we'll come back to that in a moment. Marietta is waiting with yet more drivers.
David, what a difference from yesterday to today.
That's right.
From no racing to second in class.
That's right. I mean, yesterday our car was on fire, and today we were lighting up the timesheets. So it was awesome out there. I mean, the car was perfect. It was a little messy early. We had some contact early, but after that, it was just qualifying lap through the whole stint to hand it over to Nico to close us out.
And Nico, what does it mean for you to finish today on podium after yesterday's drama?
Yeah, it's just great to be back in the car. We know this car should be a pole-sitting, race-winning, championship-winning car. So great to be back in the saddle, and we think we can really give these guys a run for their money tomorrow. So we'll take second today, but we're going for the win tomorrow.
Yep. And we'd like to thank all our friends out at Lamborghini Palm Beach, Haynes & Boone, HCB Yachts, Liqui-Moly. So thank you for everything. Thank you for getting us out here.
Okay, guys, watch for these two tomorrow.
We will, because second today has been a really good result. Again, people learning a new circuit, and it's fascinating, isn't it, to see how the drivers, whether they're from America, from Europe, get faster and faster over a weekend as they learn the circuit and become more confident.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice because you see the pro that they arrived and they're already on the pace straight away, out on track, and you see that the gap between pro and AM is very big, and you see that the pro, they always stay there, and the AM is closing the gap. So it's interesting.
Yeah, the AM in a Pro-Am car can make all the difference if you can get that AM up to your pro speed. So Andrei Lewandowski is the race winner from Nico Roger and David Starb, with third Shehan Chandrasoma. Alex Au fourth, ahead of Jordan O'Brien and Rana Tapatu, with Raffaele Giannoni in sixth. Seventh to Shozad Kazava from Martin Riva and then Randy Solari, with 10th to Gabriele Rindoni, having been turned around on the opening lap. So 10th place is not a bad result.
Absolutely not.
Slade Stewart wins the Lamborghini Cup from provisionally second the Privitelios, but the timing screen, I think, might still be updating. Third in class, Francois and Benoit Samoulin, but the penalty given, as I say, to the Privitelios. However, the class is won by Slade Stewart, and disappointingly, a couple of cars with quite a bit of damage to repair for tomorrow.
Absolutely, especially the two cars that crashed and caused the red flag. They will work hard, the mechanics, tonight, but I think they have the time to make it.
But in the case of Bart Collins' car, the red car that we saw being damaged, it's, yes, they've got the time, but have they got the spare parts? Because it's from America, and I know Lamborghini Squadra will help.
Yes, I think Lamborghini Squadra they have, all the spare parts department here with a lot of parts, and they also have the welding machines and whatever. So the support here, it's really high, because we want our clients to enjoy anyhow the race. So we see also other cars, the mechanics, they were working tonight 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it's a tough job for the mechanics.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the end, Lamborghini is here to support all the clients.
Let's just have a look at some of the super slow motion shots from that race, picking out one or two of the drivers. Kumar Prabhakaran, for example, who's from Malaysia, but has done the bulk of his racing in Europe for the last couple of seasons, with no Asian championship in which to race. Jordan O'Brien, one of the stars of that opening stint, very, very impressive. And tomorrow, of course, he will do the second stint, so it'll be up to him to play catch-up rather than try to pull away early on in the race. But he did a really good job in his stint today.
Was really quick at the beginning and was driving really well. Also within the track limits, he hasn't done any of them, so it was really a proper job. It's a pity that he lost a little bit of time with overtaking the Lepet car just before the pit in. So, but yeah, this is racing. As we say,
absolutely.
It was always the same answer.
And some good drives from others. Gabriele Rindoni getting back up to 10th, and of course he could have gained more but for that red flag, but that's racing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So they will have their second stanza tomorrow, and the top 10 in each of the two classes will take their points into the world final. There is Gabriele Rindoni after the delay at the very first corner. The incident never came up on the timing screen as being looked at after the contact with David Starb. It might be post-race, so that classification we saw a little while ago might still remain provisional, but the race officials will make sure that any incident is looked into and take appropriate action if required. So the podium will be coming up shortly. The officials making sure they've got the drivers ready, and the correct drivers. There was a little bit of confusion in a podium yesterday when, again, a driver with a post-race penalty was allowed up onto the podium. So we want to make sure that the right people are there, and then we will, a little bit later on in the afternoon, look forward to the Pro and Pro-Am race. And for the teams, those that aren't repairing cars, there is the Regional Championships prize giving tonight as well, which is another feature of the Lamborghini Grand Finals weekend, and the efforts of the successful drivers and successful drivers in other championships from GT3 from around the world are all going to be recognised. Tiger Tari there, new to Super Trofeo this year, massive enthusiast for his motor racing. And he's had a really enjoyable weekend, so he was explaining yesterday. Shojab Kazava back into Super Trofeo, the man from Georgia. Good to have him back as well. So the podium beckons. The drivers, I think, have been brought to the right place, the right people to the podium, and so with lots of pieces of paper being checked and double-checked, and the Lamborghini dignitaries there as well, drivers are prepared. So we've got the top three from Lamborghini Cup and from the AM class. Team members, fans and family members all down in the pit lane looking up at the podium, and their smiling faces atop the podium. So the Semolans there, who will finish third in the Lamborghini Cup. No, second in Lamborghini Cup, because now the Privitellio's penalty has been applied and they have fallen a long, long way down to 3, 4, 5, 6th in class. So the drivers, as I say, are about to be brought forward. And this means that for third place in Lamborghini Cup, Jason Keats and Charlie Martin step forward, the American and British drivers, and they find the third step and embrace one another. Charlie Martin having gained an extra point for them by being on pole position in class. Then for second, double winners yesterday, Benoit and Francois Semolin, the Belgian drivers, in the Sem-Speed car, complete with Belgian flag. And then for the top step of the podium, the man that won Lamborghini Cup in the North American Championship yesterday, he'll be a very happy man now, Slade Stewart, whose car was in bits on Thursday. He had a spin, he got collected, there was a huge amount of damage done. He thought his weekend was over, but he's bounced back, the team repairing the car, and Slade Stewart wins the Lamborghini Cup in race 1 of the Grand Finals. Congratulations then to Slade Stewart for the K-Pax racing team and the entrance Flying Lizard Motorsport. So the trophies will be presented as the Charlie Martin, Jason Keats combination taking third. Gerhard Pakowski, the quality director for Lamborghini, is on hand to present the third place trophies. Then at the other end of the podium, the trophies are there for the second placed drivers. It's been a good haul of trophies for the Semolans this weekend. And then for the top step of the podium, trophies go, trophy singular, to Slade Stewart, who's done the whole race on his own. I know there was 2 safety car periods in the end, plus that red flag just to curtail things, but as he pushes the Semolan trophy out of his face, all smiles. Now is Slade Stewart at the end of the Lamborghini Cup part of the Grand Finals. The champagne awaits, and Slade Stewart ready with the cork, ready to soak his rivals. Then the AMs will be next, but Charlie Martin makes sure that everybody is suitably drenched. And for today, the work is done, and 5 very happy drivers then on the Lamborghini Cup podium. A clink of the bottle, and then they will make their way from the podium, which will be made ready for the drivers in AM. Disappointment for the Privitellios then, ending up a long, long way down the order as a consequence of that penalty. And so Slade Stewart taking honours in Lamborghini Cup from the Semolans. Jason Keats and Charlie Martin taking 3rd. Then Gerard van der Horst from Tiger Tari and Luciano and Donovan Privitellio come next. So there is Shehan Chandrasoma, who is 3rd in the AM class. Then for 2nd, Nico Reger and David Stubb step forward. So North American Championship competitors 3rd and 2nd, but it's a European who's going to be on the top step of the podium, because the Polish driver Andrzej Lewandowski is the winner of the race, the winning AM, and he makes his way to the podium now. The Vincenzo Sospiri Racing driver, Andrzej Lewandowski, all smiles as ever. Top step of the podium for the Polish driver, and a job very well done indeed. So well done to Andrzej Lewandowski, to the VS Racing, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing team. Another seasoned squad in Lamborghini Racing. And now the trophies being presented. It is Matteo Ortenzi, the Aventador product line director, who makes the award of the trophies. And Andrzej Lewandowski is a very happy man indeed on the top step of the podium. And he's going to take some beating tomorrow in the second part of this Lamborghini Grand Finals weekend. Photographs taken. Smiling faces all round. Andrzej Lewandowski winning from David Stubb and Nico Reger. Shehan Chandrasoma finishing in 3rd place. The champagne is at their feet, and Andrzej Lewandowski makes sure that it's nice and fizzy, bouncing up and down. But Nico Reger is the first one to win the Battle of the Bubbly. Andrzej Lewandowski says, "You miss me, and I'm over here, and I've got a full bottle yet." So congratulations to our winning AM drivers. The pit lane is opening ready for the next race on track, and that's going to be for the pros and the pro-ams. But a great start to Grand Finals weekend, and honours to Andrzej Lewandowski. So let's just quickly look at the standings. Andrzej Lewandowski it is then who has the advantage from David Stubb and Nico Reger, with Shehan Chandrasoma behind. Then it's Alex Alp ahead of Jordan O'Brien, with Raffaele Giannoni next. Then Shota Abkhazova from Martin Riva, Randy Solari and Gabriel Rindoni in 10th place. So we've got one more race to come. That's for the pros and pro-ams. We'll leave you with a look at the highlights of the AM and Lamborghini Cup race. More action to come here from Portimao.
not live yet.
My mom texted me. She's like, I saw you on the camera.
We're not live yet. Which box you are?